On March 11, 2011, there was a severe natural disaster that occurred in northeastern Japan Island, which caused widespread damage and initiated a series of large tsunami waves that devastated many coastal areas of the country, mostly in the Tohoku region. The tsunami also instigated a major nuclear accident at a power station along the coast. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake struck offshore of Japan. The March 11th earthquake started on a Friday at 2:46 p.m. local time. It was centered on the seafloor 45 miles east of Tohoku at a depth of 15 miles below the surface. The shaking lasted about 6 minutes. Scientists discovered a thin, slippery clay layer lining the fault. The researchers think that this clay layer allowed the two plates to slide an incredible distance, some 164 feet, creating the enormous earthquake and tsunami. On March 11, 2011, at 2:46 p.m., an 8.9 magnitude earthquake takes place in 231 miles northeast of Tokyo. About an hour after the quake, waves up to 30 feet high hit the Japanese coast, sweeping away vehicles, causing buildings to collapse and severing roads and highways. On March 12, 2011, overnight, a 6.2 magnitude aftershock hits the Nagano and Niigata. At 5:00 a.m., a nuclear emergency is declared at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Officials report the earthquake and tsunami have cut off the plant's electrical power and that backup generators have been disabled by the tsunami. Another aftershock hits the west coast of Honshu, 6.3 magnitude. The Japanese Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency announces that radiation near the plant's main gate is more than 8 times the normal level. Cooling systems at 3 of the 4 units at the Fukushima Daiichi plant fail, prompting state of emergency declarations there. At least 6 million homes, 10% of Japanese households, are without electricity and 1 million are without water. The U.S. Geological Survey says that the quake appears to have moved Honshu, Japan's main island, by 8 feet and has shifted the Earth on its axis. About 9,500 people, half the town's population, are reported to be unaccounted for in Minamashinariku on Japan's Pacific coast. 50,000 Japan self-defense forces, 190 aircraft, and 25 ships are deployed to help with rescue efforts. On March 14, 2011, the U.S. Geological Survey upgrades its measure of the earthquake to magnitude 9.0 from 8.9. On February 20, 2014, TEPCO says an estimated 100 metric tons of toxic radioactive water has leaked from a holding tank at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Residents of Tokyo received a minute of warning before the strong shaking hit the city, thanks to Japan's earthquake early warning system. They also stopped high-speed trains and factory assembly lines. People in Japan also received text alerts of the earthquake and tsunami warnings on their cell phones. The Japanese government declares a state of emergency for the nuclear power plant near Sendai, 180 miles from Tokyo. 60 to 70,000 people living nearby were ordered to evacuate to shelters. This map shows the travel times of the tsunami generated by the Honshu earthquake on March 11, 2011. The unexpected disaster was neither the largest nor the deadliest earthquake and tsunami to strike this century. Japan's scientists had forecast a smaller earthquake would strike the northern region of Honshu, the country's main island. Nor did they expect such a large tsunami, but there had been hints of the disaster to come. Less than an hour after the earthquake, the first of many tsunami waves hit Japan's coastline. The tsunami waves reached heights of up to 128 feet at Makayo City and traveled inland as far as 6 miles in Sendai. The tsunami flooded an estimated area of approximately 217 square miles in Japan. The waves overtopped and destroyed protective tsunami seawalls at several locations. The massive wave even destroyed 3-story buildings where people had gathered for safety. The tsunami caused a cooling system failure at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. This resulted in a level 7 nuclear meltdown and release of radioactive materials. The electrical power and backup generators were overwhelmed by the tsunami, and the plant lost its cooling capabilities. Only 58% of people headed for higher ground immediately after the earthquake. Many people also underestimated their personal risk or assumed the tsunami would be small. The tsunami itself died out a long time ago, but the effects in Japan will be there for decades, Titov told Live Science. This picture shows that houses above the inundation zone in this Japanese village survived intact, while everything below was destroyed. The combined total of confirmed deaths and missing is more than 22,000. Deaths were caused by the initial earthquake and tsunami and by post-disaster health conditions, but more than 2,500 people are still reported missing. The tsunami waves also traveled across the Pacific, reaching Alaska, Hawaii, and Chile. The surge of water carried an estimated 5 million tons of debris out to sea. Japanese docks and ships and countless household items have arrived on U.S. and Canadian shores in the ensuing years. The U.S. Coast Guard fired on and sank the derelict boat, 164 foot, in 2012 in the Gulf of Alaska. In this picture, Japan's tsunami tore a huge ice chunk off Antarctica. The waves generated by the massive March 2011 undersea earthquake off Japan traveled 8,000 miles per hour of ice off the Sulzberger ice shelf. NASA and ESA satellites captured imagery of the break. Ice may have been weakened by climate change. In Japan, residents are still recovering from the disaster. As of February 2017, there were still about 150,000 evacuees who lost their homes. 50,000 of them were still living in temporary housing. More than 120,000 buildings were destroyed, 278,000 were half destroyed, and 726,000 were partially destroyed, the agency said. The direct financial damage from the disaster is estimated to be about $199 billion, according to the Japanese government. The total economic cost could reach up to $235 billion, the World Bank estimated, making it the costliest natural disaster in world history.